Welcome back to the U.S. Crime Files. I'm Grace Daniel, and today I bring you a deeply unsettling story from East Oakland, California that unfolds like a thriller but is painfully real. It's a story of family betrayal, identity theft, and a shocking murder that went unnoticed for weeks, all hidden behind the charred walls of a once peaceful home. It was a summer evening in 1997 when the quiet of East Oakland was shattered by screams. Monica Boyad, at home that night, heard the desperate cries outside and rushed to answer the door. There, standing on her porch, was her neighbor, Stevie Allman, barely recognizable. Stevie was badly burned, her arms and legs covered in raw, painful wounds. Behind her, her small bungalow was engulfed in flames, fire roaring and licking at the night sky, threatening to spread to the neighboring houses. This wasn't just a fire. Firefighters who arrived quickly suspected arson. The blaze was fueled by gasoline or some other accelerant, burning hotter and faster than a typical accidental fire. The community watched in horror as the home that had sheltered Stevie and her family was reduced to ashes. But the biggest shock came when people realized that Stevie's younger sister, Sarah Mitchell, was nowhere to be found. Questions swirled. Was she trapped inside? Had she escaped? Or was something else at play? At the hospital, Stevie gave a harrowing account of what had happened. She said she had been relaxing in her living room when she suddenly heard glass shattering. According to her, Molotov cocktails had been thrown through the windows, igniting the fire. She escaped by running through the flames, getting severely burned in the process. But why? Stevie claimed her involvement in the neighborhood was the reason. For years, she had quietly fought back against the rampant drug dealing and violence in East Oakland. She had been an active member of the Neighborhood Watch, the PTA, and even took it upon herself to film drug dealers outside her home, sending the tapes to the police in hopes of cleaning up the streets. Stevie's story struck a chord far beyond East Oakland. Her bravery in standing up to crime, even at great personal risk, drew national attention. Support poured in, from Governor Pete Wilson to national drug control officials, and even the White House. Donations and supplies flooded the hospital where Stevie was treated. Contractors volunteered to rebuild her home, and the police offered rewards for information leading to the arsonist's arrest. Yet, despite all the publicity and community support, the investigation hit a frustrating wall. Police interviewed numerous known drug dealers and residents in the area, but no one knew anything about the attack. Some even claimed they didn't know Stevie or her supposed vigilante activities. The police began to suspect that the story wasn't as straightforward as it seemed. Then, the inconsistencies started piling up. Why, if Stevie had fled in such a hurry, had she taken her purse with her? And why were her burns only on the front of her body, not on her back, as would be expected if she ran through a fire? The burn patterns suggested splashback burns, common in arsonists who accidentally get accelerant on themselves. Even more puzzling was the shattered glass. It was mostly outside the windows, not inside, contradicting Stevie's claim of Molotov cocktails thrown into the house. The mystery deepened around Sarah Mitchell's disappearance. Stevie said Sarah had moved out after receiving threats, but refused or couldn't provide any contact information. Police grew increasingly suspicious that Stevie was hiding something, but couldn't figure out what. Then, a stunning phone call changed everything. Leotea Belleville, the eldest sister of Stevie and Sarah, reached out to the police. She told them the woman in the hospital was not Stevie Allman. It was Sarah Mitchell, pretending to be her sister. Leotea had been trying to contact Stevie for weeks, but only spoke to Sarah, who gave conflicting stories about Stevie's whereabouts. Worried, Leotea had filed a missing person report for Stevie. Leotea's revelations painted a stark picture. Stevie was the responsible, hard-working sister who had cared for the family, while Sarah was the troubled one. Unemployed, unreliable, with a history of forging checks and stealing Stevie's identity. The sisters looked so much alike that many people had trouble telling them apart, which helped Sarah's deception. Police confronted Sarah at the hospital, but she denied everything, insisting she was Stevie. Fingerprint tests proved otherwise. Before long, Sarah disappeared, taking with her the donations raised to help Stevie. Authorities tracked her down to a motel and arrested her. What police found next was nothing short of horrifying. In the basement of the burned home, hidden beneath the rubble, was a large chest freezer. Inside were the mutilated, decomposed remains of a woman. The body had been cut into pieces with an electric saw and frozen, likely to conceal the crime. Autopsy revealed the cause of death, at least 20 brutal blows to the head with a heavy object. The murder had been savage and calculated. Blood evidence and tools recovered from the house indicated the killing had happened inside, with the body dismembered in the bathroom. Investigators theorized Sarah had killed Stevie sometime between mid-June and June 19th, then lived in the house with her sister's body in the freezer for weeks before setting the house on fire to destroy evidence. Financial greed was the motive. Sarah had drained Stevie's bank accounts, forged checks, and tried to collect insurance money on the fires, all while pretending to be her sister. At trial in 2000, Sarah's defense argued that the evidence was circumstantial and that she was innocent. But the prosecution presented overwhelming proof, including surveillance footage of Sarah cashing forged checks, testimony from family members, and the forensics from the crime scene. The jury found her guilty of first-degree murder with special circumstances for financial gain. Sarah was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Though eligible for the death penalty, family members pleaded for mercy, unwilling to lose another sister to violence. Adding a chilling twist, investigators discovered Sarah may have copied her crime from another woman, Cynthia Lloyd, who had committed similar murders and arson years earlier. Cynthia's brother was the father of Sarah's oldest child, suggesting a disturbing connection and possible influence. This tragic case is a grim reminder that sometimes the greatest dangers come from those closest to us. Stevie Allman's courage and commitment to her community were met with betrayal and a brutal end at the hands of her own sister, a story that still haunts East Oakland nearly 3 decades later. Thank you for joining me on the U.S. Crime Files. I'm Grace Daniel. Stay safe and stay aware. We'll see you next time with another story from America's darkest corners.